Hi, my name is Fred Downey, and I'll be turning 63. I'm first generation Guatemalan on my mom's side. She grew up at a very young age picking coffee um, and a coffee plantation and eventually got adopted by the plantation owners when she was like 6. Um, my education prior to entering the coaching education program was I graduated from high school, yay. On a coaching side, I got my YM3 in 2006. I got my e-license in 2010, my NSCAA National Diploma in 2018, my D license in 2019. Um, Collegiately, I went to University of Pacific, dropped out my senior year. I wasn't particularly motivated, and I wasn't necessarily a disciplined student. Um, and I wanted to start my life and start making money. So I was working part time as a sandwich artist at Subway Sandwiches, and I took that opportunity and financing that they were providing folks like me at 38.5% interest rates, and I dropped out of school and started Subway. Worked 20 hours a day for 3, 4 years. Opened up a second store with this crazy high expensive financing, but did get it paid off in 7 years, uh, and ended up um, having kind of a yearning to go back and finish my degree because life I got more mature, stuff like that, had a business, so um, ended up going back to University of Pacific, finishing my degree, which then I really liked that, and then I went and got my I figured for my business, because I was growing more and that HR might be a good component for me. So I took a HR certificate at Cal State San Marcos, and that was very instrumental for me because it focused a big portion of it was total quality management, which is a Japanese management philosophy, and working in units, which is very applicable to coaching, right? And translated particularly well in the course that we just finished up on. And for those of you new to the program, it's the coaching the beautiful game. And then within that, the textbook, which was Coaching Better Every Season by Gilbert. Chapter 10 is a work of total quality management in a sports setting. And so um, I don't know, it there was a lot in that book, and I'm gonna kind of go off of the um, educational part, but it really kind of goes to you know um, where am I coaching right now? Nowhere. I quit coaching both high school and soccer. I coached a lot of different places. I was a DOC, and I got a little bit disgusted by the club, not just the club, last club I was at for 9 years, but clubs in general, about a lot of ethical things and just the lack of business acumen and fair play in dealing and who they hired as coaches. I had a lot of conflict in issues, and so I took the time off and I decided, well, maybe I'll just work on my, on this course that I would, that, and this degree because I was aware of it, and maybe I can become an agent at change of the course. And so, um, agent of change, not for the course, but for the club. So I had worked out something with the club that I would be brought back on during this process, and then they reneged on their commitment to me after I actually did some consulting for them on some stuff. I don't know. I shouldn't have been surprised. Um, so the big ethical issue is um, how um, clubs are market driven and will do pretty much anything um, to grow, whether it's ethical or not, whether the coaches that they employ are ethical or not, or have the right coaching demeanor for the age groups, or or even a right for coaching. I have seen some absolutely crazy things with coaches, not just like yipping at players, but like yelling, screaming, dropping f bombs, grabbing players, pushing players, just things that are just um, and putting the club potentially at jeopardy. I had I blew out my elbow, and I had to have surgery on it. And my physical therapist um, son, who I knew, played for one of these coaches at the club that I was at, and she told me the entire team, except for the coach's son and one of the son's best friend, quit and went to a rival club. From the coach's perspective, they all left because they were poached, but because of a scrimmage that they did with um, one of our sister clubs. But in reality, it's because of his coaching demeanor, um, and that the club. Um, one of the parents was considering suing the club, and so okay, kind of, I'm not necessarily coaching at the club, but I was going to go back to coach at the club supposedly, and kind of that, you know, mandatory first responder stuff. I was aware of it, so I brought it to the club's attention, and they promptly did nothing with it. They gave the guy more teams and control of a whole age group. So first, second, and third team for a particular age group, which I don't know. You can't make this stuff up. Anyhow, so so that was kind of like the ethical dilemma that it was seeing, faced with, quit, decided I was going to take this degree, thought I might be an agent of change. I don't think I can be an agent of change for a group that is this unethical, unless I led somehow got like a whole new board. Um, and I don't know if I want to go through that brain damage. But it clearly defines what the ethical situation is that um, was going through. Anyhow, so I did had my business, did that for a long period of time. Moved off to I live in Coronado now, which is a great place. And if I were to look back on the situation, I brought it to the board's attention. Maybe I should have. I don't know. They made their decision, and I don't agree with it. So that's that. Um, so what would I do differently? I don't know. Maybe actually talk to the coach and tell him what a knucklehead he is and how he's destroying kids, and that any prospect of him thinking that it was a sister club that poached all his kids was absolutely had nothing to do with that, and just tell him unequivocally the unabridged truth that he's a complete a-hole um, during games, and he's killing the kids. But I also know his type of demeanor. He's very cocky, and he would just say that I'm an idiot and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and it's you know it's not worth. I don't think it's worth the brain damage. Anyhow, diversity and inclusion. I've coached a lot of Hispanic kids. Yeah, on my business side, I have a transgender person who is now a manager, and I saw them being miserable as a female and now extremely happy as a male, and that was very eye-opening. In a sports setting, I have helped families with need by paying for their tuition. I had a player. Some of you may have heard the story before, but whose father was physically abusive towards her and her mother, and they were living in a battered women's homeless shelter. And so I ended up paying for them when I was coaching them, and I've continued to pay them for them since they coach, because their situation hasn't changed, and she's a good, she's a really good kid, and I saw how she struggled because of what her father did, and one thing to say about that, that this degree has given me tools to better manage how I would respond to that in the future, um, through arousal, inverted U theory specifically, even though her inverted U was triggered by the game, but it wasn't caused by the game, if that makes sense. Um, so, yeah. So really, I guess what I'm fundamentally trying to say is that, you know, I my athletic well-being component is I'm working on it through having this taking this degree, this master's degree. Um, in this particular course, it's well, so far having read the introduction and you know skimming through chapters 1 and 2, um, knowing the theories and who's behind the theories, like Aristotle, Hobbes. I've heard those names. I just didn't know the context and the names of their theories, so that's pretty powerful. So I look forward to that. I look forward to maybe coming up with a framework of how to better ethically handle, um, a club, um, that isn't doing the right thing, and they're not doing the right thing by so many different levels. I mean, I was there for 9 years. I never had a coaching evaluation. I've coached, for 20 years. I've never had a coaching evaluation. So how do you expect coaches to get better, if you don't give them a pathway to get better? If you don't measure the measurables to get better? And that's why, for me, Coaching the Beautiful Game in chapter 10 had so much meaning. Um, so I don't know. I'm kind of torn by that. Maybe this course will give me the tools to do what I, um, maybe should do with the coach that the coach, and with the club and the club, board of directors that I should do. I don't know. We'll see. But I think I'll be far better prepared for it because of this course. Um, uh, yeah, so I think I've pretty much outlined uh, the area of interest, of what I'd want to coach. I would say that at a much larger level, it's the pay to play program, and all this is about market share and the business model, at a lot of different levels. It's not grassroots coaching anymore. It's the mission has been warped, and I've heard now that there's venture capital money coming in and buying clubs. God help us if that becomes the norm, because anything venture capital has touched, whether it's been Subway or now like Jersey Mike's got bought by Blackstone. I've seen it firsthand that venture capital is screws up more things than it drives to better outcomes. Anyhow, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you for your time. I'm sorry I went way over, but I think this gives you a very good understanding of what I'm passionate about, who I am as a person, and what I am as a coach.